guys, get ready with me while I finally make a story time about who the F did I date. Little context, my relationship ended in September after 4 years together, and I've gotten quite a few questions asking for a story time. I originally was not going to make one of these, but upon seeing a bunch of girls on my For You page doing it, those videos are low-key kind of like healing to me in a way. So I just thought it would be nice to make this just to show other people that you're not alone if you're going through something similar currently, or if you've been through something similar. We're all in this together. I even brought the iPad out. That's how you guys know I'm serious about this story time. Let's start with the lead up to the breakup. We went on a beach trip. It was like a 3-day trip. I want to say this was around August like 11th, 12th. In our bedroom at my grandma's house, we kind of had a talk, tell something was wrong. Like the vibes were off that whole morning. I asked what was wrong. He said he was exhausted. He just like couldn't put up with this anymore. He felt that I was not understanding enough, not empathetic enough, and just a little too aggressive. As embarrassing as it is to admit, I fell to my knees on the ground. He's sitting on the bed talking, and I'm on the ground begging him, like, please let me fix this. Like, we can make it work. I remember being like, please, like, my family's here. You know, he was like, this isn't about them. If you're watching this, please learn from me. And if this type of situation ever happens to you, just break up with him. Like, please just break up with him, because once I tell you guys the things that were said during this convo, you guys are going to be like, why didn't you break up with him then? He said pretty much verbatim, you're going to be a great mom. I know you're going to be a great mom, but you just don't have the qualities I want in my future wife. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know that's all women were capable of being successful at. I'm gonna be a great mom, but I need to work on these qualities to be a great wife. Like, what about me as a person? This combo felt genuinely all over the place, because then he went into saying that he likes holding the door for me. He likes standing on the street side of the sidewalk when we walk. He likes, you know, doing these things for me, but he just can't do it all the time, and I need to be understanding of that he's just not going to be able to do it all the time, which is fine. But mind you, this is the way he set the relationship up for 4 years, literally like getting mad at me if I tried to carry anything. Like, also in this same convo, he mentioned one of his friends that I really didn't like. I'm not going to say his real name, obviously, but my ex was like, even with the Ringo situation, you need to be more understanding. And this was low-key shocking to me, because this said friend had called me ugly, said I looked like an alien, my head's too big for my body. Okay, thank you. Worse than that though, he said a bunch of things about my character, like I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I'm annoying, I'm not like smart in school and things like that. I just like pretend to be, or I pretend to know about politics and stuff, but I really don't. I'm just like, you know, woke. I'm stereotypical. I was obviously upset about these things, told my ex about it, ex talked to him, whatever. So I was a little bit confused. I was like, how am I not being understanding about this situation? Like, obviously I'm not going to be like thrilled to hear about him or talk about him, but like I feel like I've been perfectly understanding. Even he agreed. He was like, yeah, you're right, I don't even know why I said that. It genuinely felt like he was like grasping at straws and trying to just like name things, and if I had a valid kind of like rebuttal or like explanation, he would just be like, damn, you're right. And the convo ended with basically him like coming around, I guess, and I was like, I haven't really known about these complaints you've been having, so therefore how would I know to work on them? He was like, yeah, you're right, that's not fair, so let's agree to work on things. And I was gonna work on being more empathetic, understanding, less aggressive. The one thing I asked him to work on was being more defensive about me when it came to his family, because I had problems with his family for basically our entire, like genuinely our entire relationship. So that's that. Beach trip ends on mutual understanding. We ended up going to the beach the next day with like a couple that we were friends with, and it was fine, but I was still extremely anxious. I kept brushing it off, just being like, you know, I've had thoughts like that. Like there's been at least 3 times where I've sat him down and been like, I'm done, and then nothing happened. So basically I was trying to brush it off as that. August 18th rolls around. That was his 21st birthday. It was fun. We went out with his family. It was a good day, but the vibes were still off, okay? Like, I just could tell. At the birthday brunch, his mom ended up making this sly little joke about me going over to wash his dishes for him. I don't know why. We're both college students. I have a job. I have my own dishes. I don't know. Probably gonna be some people like, oh, it's just a joke, it's just a joke. Yes, and I would have brushed it off as a joke had we not just had the mutual understanding about, okay, we're both gonna work on these things. And then that was his one thing, was like, you know, but keep in mind, it was the birthday brunch, whatever. No, he did not say anything when it came to that, but when it came to him being offended, because a couple minutes later his brother's girlfriend ended up kind of calling him out for a joke that he said. I didn't think it was bad. It was literally to his brother about eating donuts, whatever. She found it offensive. She called him out on it, and he immediately got so offended, so mad, bro. Wouldn't let it go. Tried to cancel going to the next place because he didn't want to be with her there. Like, he didn't want her there, blah blah blah. Complains about it to his mom, complains about it to his grandma, this and that. And I just remember thinking in my head, why have you never gotten this mad for the past 4 years when his family has genuinely said, like, insane things about me, like, heinous things? Okay, sorry for the jump scare. I'm editing this video right now, and I'm low-key thinking that the reason that he was so mad is because it was a woman that stood up to him and, you know, tried to, like, call him out in front of people. I'm genuinely thinking that now, watching it back. Also, just, like, a little clarification, I defended him, like, throughout the whole thing. I was like, yeah, like, she shouldn't have did that at the brunch in front of people. She should have pulled you aside after, or this and that. Like, I basically had his back and was defending him to the ends of the earth, which is basically just the same thing I wanted in return when it came to his family saying things against me. I take him out to dinner, and then we sleep at his place. The next day, he had, like, work early in the morning or something. Since I had a little bit of time before I had to go to work, I decided to just clean up his place a little bit, you know? Made the bed, cleaned the counters, put some dishes away, took out a bunch of trash because there was a lot of recycling and trash to take out. I filled the Brita. I specifically remember him texting me when he got home and being like, thank you so much for taking out the trash. You are literally my wife. And after being traumatized by the "you don't have these qualities in my future wife" comment, I took this as, like, Bible. All this back and forth in my head. He wants to break up with me. He doesn't want to break up with me. Oh, he called me his wife. He would not say that if he was still thinking about wanting to break up with me. Like, no way, no way. Skip to my birthday, okay? My birthday's August 31st, but we went out the 30th because then it would be midnight and my birthday, yeah. It was him, me, my BFF. So we are there dancing. This group of boys, I'm assuming my age, start harassing me and commenting about me physically, just being really gross. They're basically trying to grind on me, trying to dance on me, and my ex was just, like, blocking them. The group of guys continues just going harder and harder, and then they even start elbowing my ex, and then my ex kind of elbows them back. At this point, they start pouring drinks down his back. Me, at this point, I'm pissed. I was trying so hard not to react, not to retaliate, and just let him kind of, like, block them from my view and whatever. But they just kept saying things about me, and it felt really gross and disrespectful. So, and after they start pouring drinks, I finally say to, like, the main one, like, leave me alone, like, I would never want you, this is my man, whatever, and I push him, because they kept pushing us, whatever, and I pushed. It was almost immediate. Right when I pushed the guy, two or three bouncers came up to me and were telling me that, you know, I need to go. I even remember I had, like, an almost full drink that I had just got, and I was like, here, take this. I don't want to be in this establishment anymore. I'm leaving. As I'm walking out, two of the bouncers standing by the door kind of, like, say something to each other, and I could tell that they knew why I was walking out. Like, I just could tell. And then as I'm leaving, one of them is like, have a good night, sweet thing, something like that, and that infuriated me so much more. I get back to my apartment, and I barely remember this. Like, I remember we were just hanging out, chilling, and eventually we all ended up falling asleep. Like, my best friend, me, my ex. We slept for, like, 4 hours and woke up at 8 a.m. to get ready for my birthday brunch. Thinking about my 20th birthday kind of makes me really sad, because the morning, like, the drive to my house, I remember asking, can we play some birthday music? Like, you know, he was like, sure, put on what you want. Okay, I'm singing along, you know, I'm happy, I'm 20, it's my birthday. He has no enthusiasm. I convinced myself he is hungover, he's tired, we barely got any sleep, you know, it's fine. I was, like, way overcompensating too. I was, like, texting him in the morning, like, thank you so much for setting up my brunch, like, while I was getting ready at my house and he was setting up the brunch with my mom. Which, come to find out, in the aftermath, my mom was telling me that the whole birthday planning was super weird. It was, like, his idea to plan my brunch, but then he basically had no input, and my mom ended up getting all of the decorations, picking out the cake. He literally did not care about what the cake looked like or anything. Like, this energy was so, I guess, pervasive that while they were setting up the birthday brunch, my mom looks at him and she says, if you're thinking about doing anything stupid, do not do it today. Do not do it on her birthday.
Story time where I thought about breaking HIPAA because a girl was in the process of being groomed. So I worked for a med spa, and we were required to adhere by HIPAA because we did have medical providers, and some of the treatments fell under like medical treatment. So this young girl comes in. It's her 18th birthday. She comes in with her mom. She's 18 too. So I'm like, and her mom ends up sitting in the lobby, and she comes in to talk to me about something that she's thinking about getting done. So as I'm building a quote for her and we're just chatting, I'm asking her like what her plans are for her birthday. And she tells me, she's like, I'm gonna go hang out with my boyfriend. And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. Like, what are you guys gonna do? And she was telling me that it was gonna be a surprise. She's like, yeah, my mom doesn't know yet. I just haven't told her that, you know, I have a boyfriend. Now, mind you, she's 18, but she's also like a band girl. Like, she's a dork. I was a dork, so I can say it. Like, she's a cute little dorky girl. So I asked her, I was like, you're not allowed to have a boyfriend? And she's like, no, I can. I just, you know, don't really feel comfortable telling my mom yet. And I asked her, like, why? She said, well, you know, we're in an age gap relationship. Mind you, she's 18, so I'm curious. So I'm like, okay, how old is he? She said 45. And so me, I'm staying calm because I, you know, want to put her at ease, and I want to know more information. So I asked her, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, so how did you guys meet? And she said they met up on this Meetup app, and it was like for Pokemon Go or something like that. And, you know, they really connected and exchanged contact information. But then she told me, like, sometimes it's hard to talk to him, so I'm really happy that I get to spend my birthday with him. So I was like, why is it hard to talk to him? That's your boyfriend, right? She tells me he's married. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she said, you know, he's really unhappy in his relationship, and like he's like actually in the process of like divorcing his wife. I said, okay. I said, how long have you guys been together? And she told me, she's like, well, he doesn't want me to talk about the relationship. She's like, but I feel comfortable with you. And, you know, we've been together for a while. Like, we met when I was 17. So, you know, like, he just wanted to keep it under wraps. Not the fact that he was married, the fact that she was 17. I said, oh, I was like, does he have kids? And she says, yeah, he has 2 kids. But, you know, like, that's really also, too, like, why it's hard for him to leave. So then I start asking her, like, so what do you guys, like, do? Like, what do you typically do? She's like, well, like, he'll come and pick me up, like, from the park, and we'll, like, drive around, and, like, sometimes we'll go get food and eat. Okay. Then she told me that he was also going to take her to a concert. It was going to be her first concert. She was so excited. Okay. So, to be more specific, she's getting laser hair removal, but she's wanting to do it in, like, on her, like, she's wanting to get, like, Brazilian laser hair removal and underarms. And her mom was going to pay for all of it. You know, she's like, I think this is like the perfect like 18th birthday gift for her. I'm like, okay, cool. And then she was like, yeah, I don't really want to do it, but you know, like it's just something that he prefers. Okay. So then I asked her, I was like, you know, do your friends know about this? And she's like, no, you know, he really wants to keep it a secret, you know, and I don't want to get him in trouble. Okay, girl. But then she did kind of express, she's like, you know, it is kind of nice to talk about him. And I asked her, I was like, are you in love with him? And she's like, absolutely. And she's like, you know, like, I'm going to marry him. I asked her, I was like, have you ever had, like, a boyfriend before? And she's like, no, like, he was my first kiss. Like, he was my first everything. God! So I'm, like, really trying to hold it together. But, like, I'm getting angry. Like, I'm getting angry at this guy. But I'm trying to keep it together. At that point, I needed to change the subject. So I'm like, oh my gosh, you're 18, like you're graduating. I was like, have you thought about like going to school or like what you're going to do after high school? And she's like, yeah. She's like, well, I got into UF, and she's like, you know, but he really doesn't want me to go. I was like, okay. I was like, so what are you going to do? And she told me that he basically told her that eventually it's going to take him some time because he doesn't make a lot of money, but he's going to get her an apartment so she can move out of her parents' house, and he's also going to get her a car. And then they can get married. So I'm like screaming inside. I'm screaming because the poor wife, your 45-year-old husband, is in a messing with a 17-year-old, and you have 2 kids at home. This poor girl had like he really messed with her head. Like, I can't even judge her because she's a baby. She's 17. She does not know the implications of her actions. But when we walked out of my office and her mom got up, she ran over to her and hugged her. And she's like, I'm so proud of you for doing that by yourself. Like, that's how innocent this girl was. Like, her mom made it a mission to be like, you're 18. You got this. Like, I know you can do this consultation by yourself. She was so naive, so young, so innocent. And this 45-year-old creep is taking advantage of her. And she's thinking about not going to college? I'm fuming. So I talked to 2 of the front desk girls and one of the med pros, and I'm like, I need to tell her mom. Like, I have to tell her mom. Then I was told that it's a fireable offense because I'm breaking HIPAA. I still think about that girl at least once a week.
Please listen to my very embarrassing and terrifying story time and let it serve as a cautionary tale if you have a Ring doorbell. This happened today. My husband and I were at the store and we got a notification from the Ring app that there was motion at our door. We don't always check it, but my husband happened to, and he saw like people at our door and then they went into our home. So we were like, oh my gosh, like people just broke into our home. So I immediately call 911. We rush to the car. We are 30 minutes from home, so we're like speeding. We're like telling the 911 operator like our home is being robbed. Like we're watching people go in and out of our house like with stuff. They're like, we have the police on the way. We tried like talking on our Ring doorbell to be like, hey, could you like stop? Like we have police on the way. But it didn't look like they could hear us, and we also couldn't hear them. So we're just like, my husband's speeding, we're watching it on his phone, I'm talking to the operator. I'm like, they have like our couch cushions, like our gray couch cushions, like I'm like, are they gonna steal our couch? Like how random. And then lo and behold, here they are hoisting our gray couch out the door onto their truck. I'm like, that's pretty bold for 3 p.m, like middle of the day, just stealing our couch. But no, it was actually really terrifying because it's just feels like such an invasion of privacy to have strangers like in your home going through your things, like stealing. And we have pets, and so I was like, I really hope, like the door was like left open while they were going in and out. I'm like, I hope that like the animals don't get out. Like that's like, that was like really terrifying. So the police are on the way. We see them drive off with our couch, but only 2 of them left. There were like others still in the house because we saw like a few people. It was like 4 people. So we're like, maybe they're going out the back door, so they're probably still like looking through our stuff. And then we're rushing home, freaking out. We see the police get there, and then finally we get there and the police are like, okay, we're gonna search the home, make sure it's clear in case like people are still in there. So they go into the house, come out, they're like, it's all clear, like here, we'll go in with you, let us know what is missing. I'm like terrified to go in. I don't want to see like what they've done to our house, like what they've taken. It's like really scary. So when we go in, I notice that our couch is still there. And so that is like really strange because like I watched them take our gray couch out. We have another couch upstairs and like maybe that's the one they took. I guess they kind of look similar, but that couch is still there. That's really weird. They're like, there's drawers open in your room, go check. So I'm like, okay, so I go to our room, like, I definitely left those drawers open. Like, no, like, it doesn't look like anyone has been in our house. So I pull up like the Ring camera, like the Ring app. I'm going to our Ring doorbell, showing them the footage. You see them taking our couch out and they're like, that is so weird. So they're like looking at it, and there were like 5 police cars. There were like a bunch of police in our home. And so one of them like takes it outside and he's like, well, it looks like maybe it could be like more angled that way, like maybe you see more of this house than like you would if it was this way. So he goes to our neighbor, and lo and behold, they sold a couch on Facebook Marketplace that day, and someone had just come to like pick it up. So what had happened was somehow our app connected to our neighbor's doorbell, so we were seeing their footage, we were getting the notifications, we were seeing their video like stream, and not ours, which I don't even know how that happens. But luckily the officers were very understanding. Like they saw the video, they were like, yeah, that totally looks like you were getting robbed. But embarrassing. I feel bad wasting their time. But it's important to note that the houses in the neighborhood look very similar. Our neighbors have like the same brick and the same like arch as us, so the view looks nearly identical, other than you can like kind of see a little more of that house than that house, if you know what I'm talking about. Like, but the porch, like it looks the same. And again, you're not fully noticing that when you see people going in and out of the house, and it's like coming directly from our like Ring doorbell, because we clicked on it from the notification, went to the app. That's like what we were watching. So I don't know how that happened. Ring doorbell, how does that happen? That was really scary. Luckily we're fine, everyone's fine, like the house is fine, neighbors are fine, but not ideal. Pretty terrifying actually. Also important to note, the couch they sold was gray and it had the same feet as ours, so it looked just like our couch. We're not crazy. And we also have only spoken to those neighbors like once, so we don't like fully know what they look like. And they were hardly in the video. It was mostly the people that were like picking up the couch. We just kind of like saw like, so yeah, that was like really crazy. And now our Ring doorbell is not working. It will not connect to our app. We actually were able to reconnect to our neighbor's app. So that feels like a problem. So Ring doorbell, can you fix that? Because that was honestly like really scary. Like we thought people were in our home going through our things and stealing our couch. But they had like other stuff to it, so it looked like they were taking other things. But anywho, let that serve as like a cautionary tale. Like, I don't know, be careful, I guess, and make friends with your neighbors so you fully know what they look like. And I hope that your day has gone better than mine.
I got pregnant at 16, so get ready with me while I talk about some of my family's reactions. First, let's talk about how I found out. So a few days before, I seen my period app and I realized I was late, but I didn't know if I tracked my last period right, so I just didn't take it serious. And I didn't worry about taking a test till a few days later. I'm like, I still haven't got my period. So I immediately go wake up my fiance and I let him know that I'm pregnant, fully sobbing at this point. And he is being so calm, so chill about everything. I don't think he fully thought that I was pregnant because we've been together 3 years prior and it's never happened. So I think he was kind of like in denial. So right after that, I call my sister and I'm like hyperventilating still. And I can't drive at this point because like I'm just so worked up. So she DoorDashes me another test and I take that. It obviously comes back positive. So I end up heading to work, and this whole time my boyfriend at the time, he was still in denial even after that second test. So it kind of made me think, okay, maybe I'm not pregnant. I just didn't realize how unlikely that was to get 2 positive tests at the time. So after work, me and my fiance, we go to the store, we get a few more tests. Those of course came back positive too. So that's when we like really know like, okay, like this is real life. Like this is actually gonna happen. So now getting into my mom's reaction, I told her on her birthday, I don't know what happened, but I told her on her birthday because it was like 2 days after I found out. So I made it as if I was like giving her a gift. And me and my sister put together this little like gift box for her. And she opened the box. There was a little onesie in it that said, "Hi, Mimi." And then there was obviously the pregnancy test. We'll insert a tiny clip here.
Are you playing?
No.
Oh my god.
As you can see, she was very excited, despite the fact that I was 16. It already happened, so I mean obviously she's not gonna not be supportive. Immediately after, my mom wants me to call my dad, and I was so scared to tell my dad. I didn't even want to tell him in person. So I call him and I am making like small talk, trying to not say what I actually need to say. And I eventually just say, I'm pregnant, like out of nowhere. And he goes silent, dead silent for like a whole minute. And my heart's like racing. I'm like hyperventilating all over again as if I just found out I was pregnant all over again. The next day I called my 3 older brothers and they all pretty much had the same reaction. Their first thing that they said was, "Did you tell Dad yet?" But all in all, like they were very supportive, and everyone had a completely different reaction. Like I kind of knew how my mom was gonna react, but not so much my brothers or my dad. I thought that my oldest brother and my dad was gonna like break out, which is valid, but I'm so grateful that they didn't. And I do want to say how grateful I am because I know a lot of people don't get to have that experience with their family and don't get to have that support system that me and my fiance do. So we know how blessed we are and we're truly grateful.
Story time on how I found out my coworker was actually my secret hater.
So when I first started this job, this is the girl that actually trained me. So like in the office, it was just basically me and her that worked and did more of like the finance stuff in the business. But somewhere along the lines, we kind of had a few staffing issues and her help was needed elsewhere. So I kind of started taking over some of her job functions. So Oksana starts opening up to me how she's getting treated really badly by our boss. So the way that the company is divided is that we actually have three bosses. One, it's like a husband and wife. Let's call her Jackie and Chan. And then there's another man. Let's call him Harry. And Harry has his own business, and then the husband and wife have their own business. And she's telling me how Chan is treating her really, really badly. And Oksana is telling me that she is not getting paid for like working her full amount of hours. Like for example, we're open on Saturdays, and she's telling me like, you know, she doesn't get paid for them, and I'm freaking out. And she keeps telling me like she can't pay her rent, and she's getting kicked out of her apartment because she can't afford her rent because they're not paying her. So I'm like, oh my goodness, like we have to report them immediately. We need to talk to them, like what is going on. And every time that I had a solution, like for example, I'm like, let's go talk to them together, like I'll stick up for you, whatever, she would always brush it off, and she's like, I'll handle it, whatever. And I'm like, okay. But obviously I don't like Chan, because to me, I'm like, he's this meanie who is treating my poor Russian coworker like ish. So I'm kind of like giving him the cold shoulder, and I'm like, you know, he gives me the ick. And I had told Oksana this. I said, oh my goodness, he gives me the ick. I can't believe he would talk to a girl like that, aka her. Remember the ick part, guys, because it's going to be important later. But there were two instances where honestly bells should have been going off in my head that something's wrong with this girl, but I just didn't catch on. Weird thing number one, so I had mentioned that me and her were the ones that worked in finance, aka we would handle the cash. And on Fridays, everyone knows I would leave early. That's my schedule. I would leave around 1 o'clock-ish. Anyway, a patient had paid with cash, and typically we would lock that up. Every single person knows that. That is proper cash handling procedures. But she went and put the cash in my drawer and kind of left it open. Mind you, she has a key to my drawer and I have a key to her drawer. So I have two keys and she has two keys. So she could have easily put it in my drawer if she wants to do that and lock it up. But she didn't. She put it in my drawer and left it open. So when I came into work the following Monday, Jackie and Chan are like, Salana, we need to have a meeting with you. We need to talk to you, whatever. I'm like, okay, what's up? And they're like, we found cash in your drawer. The drawer was open, whatever. And I'm like, oh, I didn't put any cash in there. And we tracked it because obviously there's a receipt attached to it. And that patient had come in like 2 hours after I already left. So there's no way I could have put the cash in my drawer. So I tell my bosses that, and they go and talk to Oksana, and they were like, why did you put it in Salana's drawer knowing she had already left? And she was kind of like, kind of like nothing, like had nothing to say. And they even asked her, like, why didn't you put it in your own drawer? And she's like, oh, because Svetlana would get mad at me and like yell at me, which is crazy, guys. I do not raise my voice at people, especially girls, maybe men, but not girls. But my Delulu ass just kind of brushed it off, and I was like, you know, it might have been a busy day, she might have forgotten, whatever, it's not her fault, like, we'll just be more careful going forward. Weird instance number 2, one of the days that I came into work, there was a note on my computer from her saying, oh, Svetlana, you made this mistake, whatever. And I come into work, and Jackie and Shannon are like, oh, hey, Svetlana, you like made this mistake, Oksana told us. And I was like, no, I didn't, because I did not make a mistake, because I don't do that, I'm perfect. And I'm like, oh no, I didn't make a mistake. And I showed them, and they're like, oh yeah, you're right, like you didn't make a mistake. And they like made a joke, they were like, yeah, like haha, Oksana was like so happy, and kind of like, oh haha, Svetlana made a mistake, like happy go jolly skippity skip, Svetlana made a mistake. That kind of gave me a weird feeling, but I was like, okay, maybe they're just like exaggerating a little bit, because what person in their right mind would be happy that I made a mistake, you know? Nope, they weren't exaggerating. Anyways, last part before we move on to part 2, which is where the real tea starts. I come into work, it's a Friday, she pulls me aside, it's just me and her in the office at this time, no one is there yet, because we would get there earlier, and she's like, Svetlana, I'm putting in my notice today, like she's like teary-eyed, whatever, she's telling me how Chan is just being so mean to her, he's calling her, he's yelling at her, he's screaming at her, whatever, and basically like she even made a comment like они в меня like ноги вытирают, which is like basically like they treat me like a doormat, whatever. So she's telling me this, I'm putting in my notice today, whatever, and I'm like, oh my god, stand up for yourself, queen, like as you should, but you're so important here, like maybe you can negotiate a raise, like kind of like threaten them a little bit, whatever. So everyone else gets to work, and the energy is kind of off, obviously. I'm not really speaking to Chan, and he picks up on that. So I think like a day goes by, and I come into work the next morning, and Jackie and Chan pull me aside. They're like, Svetlana, can we have a meeting with you quick? And I've been waiting for this. And first thing that Chan says to me is, so I give you the ick, huh? Like for part 2.
A shirtless man broke into our Airbnb at 3:50 in the morning on Saturday. It was a girls trip. We're just a group of girls in our 30s, traveled to Nashville, where we booked an Airbnb. It was at an apartment complex type style. We were staying in a 1-bedroom unit, and the layout of the place was a couple beds in the living space, or like the main area, so we could very clearly see the door to the unit. At 3:50 in the morning, he knocked for several minutes. Unsure exactly how long that happened, because it was one of those situations where you're kind of like in and out of sleep and wondering if you're still dreaming. 2 of the girls heard that light knocking, kind of like a tapping sound. Then a few of us heard that, followed by basically like the very distinct sound of the digital lock unlocking. And that's what caused 3 of the girls, including myself, to sit up in bed and look to see what was going on. Honestly, my initial thought when I sat up was, what time is it? I thought maybe one of the girls had left the Airbnb and that it was morning time, and they had stepped out to go get coffee or to FaceTime with their family. Like, my initial thought was not a man is standing in the doorway. My sister looked at me. Her and I were sharing a bed. The bed was closest to the door. I was actually the one closest to the door. My sister looked at me and shouted really loud, "Why is there a man in our apartment?" And
I kind of looked at the door and I saw him, but like, again, I was like not very oriented. So obviously we were still reorienting ourselves. He's standing in the doorway just staring at us, and she yells, "Why is there a man in the apartment?" And I said, "No, I think that's a woman." Again, I was so out of it, like still determining whether or not I'm dreaming. And she said, "No, that's a man." And then she started yelling, "Get the fuck out. You know, what are you doing here? Who are you?" And he looked very deliberate, started walking into the Airbnb towards the island. Later on, we realized that where he was walking in that general direction, that's where the knives were kept. So super creepy. As he was walking into the apartment, it was almost like he was walking in to answer the question of who he was. And he said very conversationally, not loud at all, like it was low volume, very calm demeanor, "You guys didn't order anything?" My sister just jumped over the top of me and was like, "Nope, get the fuck out of here. Nope." And like, he turned around and really quickly walked away. He didn't run out. He wasn't belligerent. Like, it was, yeah, it's insane.
One time when I was 13, I got enrolled into a mental hospital, and when you first get there, they ask you like, "How old are you? Like, what's your name? Do you prefer like to go by this or by that?" Like simple stuff, right? To get to know you. The first time, I didn't know that they had to do a skin check on you, so there was my surprise when this old man walks into the room and he tells me to take off my clothes. Like, I guess I kind of knew because I've seen like videos about it before. Like, my For You page was full of videos of girls going to the hospital. I should have like taken that as a sign. And they were like talking about skin checks, but I didn't know that they were actually gonna do it, so I was like really like scared. So this old man walks into the room and he tells me like, "Okay, we're gonna do a skin check. I need you to take off your shirt." And then he was like telling me what clothes to take off. And I wasn't comfortable with an old man seeing me with no clothes on. So I was like, "Is there any way that like I could like switch? Like, can I get a girl to come in here and do it instead?" And he was like, "No, I have to do it because I'm a professional in this." And I was like, I'm not too sure about that one, but okay. So I didn't say anything back because I was embarrassed, and yeah. I take off my clothes, and then I thought that was it. Like, I thought I didn't have to like take off like my underwear or my bra or anything, but then he tells me to take that off too. I take off my bra and I still have my underwear on, and I'm going like this because obviously like that's an old man, bro. He tells me to uncover myself, and then he told me to take off my underwear where he can see me, so he knows that I'm not hiding anything. And so I was like, do we really need to be doing that? I was looking down at the floor the whole time because I was embarrassed. I was really, 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 really ashamed of my body then, and the fact that this man was like seeing me naked was really like, get out of here with that. I took my underwear off and it was so embarrassing, bro. Okay, I took my underwear off and he told me to like do certain poses because it was part of the skin check. So I was basically stripping naked. After a second, I put my clothes back on and he was like dotting stuff like down on his writing thingy. And he would like point out different scars on my body and be like, "Where'd you get that from? What's this?" Like stuff. It didn't help that like 3 days before, like 2 to 3 days before that, I had gone skating with my family and I had burn marks of the of the roller skates on my ankles, so they thought I was burning myself, but I kind of told them that I went roller skating with my family. Nurse came in and she told me, she was like, "Okay, we're gonna do a skin check." And I didn't say anything. I was confused. I just thought that's how they like did it. I was like really, 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 really scared to do it again, and she was like asking me like what was wrong, and I was like I didn't know how to like find the words to tell her that man had already come in and done one. I just did it, and this time she didn't make me take off my underwear or my bra. No, she did make me take off my bra, not my underwear. And I was just holding it like this. And she was like telling me to go like that and like that. And like she was like checking that I didn't like have anything. So then after a while, they took me to my room. They like told me where everything was, blah blah blah, all that. Then the second time I went, which was like a month later, it was like the same nurse, and she was doing my skin check. And I was like, oh, like I wonder where that man went. It wasn't until after I got out the second time that I was looking online like reviews of the hospital I went to, which I'm not gonna name because like I don't know if I can do, like I don't know how that works, but I'm not gonna name it. Point is that I was looking at like reviews from it, and the guy, like there was articles of the guy, he got like arrested and stuff because he was like a racist. It was like so crazy to me when I saw that. But anyway, yeah, he was a how do I say it? I'm gonna have to cut out the part where I said what I said, but he was not a good person, and he was like telling, like he would like go in there. He wasn't even part of it. I think he was like the janitor or something, but he would like go in and he would like tell like all the new girls, like the inpatients and stuff, that he was the one doing the skin checks and that he was the professional when he really wasn't, and he would like make them strip naked, and that was like really like not okay. But anyway, yeah, that's the end of that story time. Thank you guys for listening.
So apparently I got fired last night. I didn't even know I was fired. The host came up to me and she gave me a hug and shit, and I was like, oh my god, girl, like what's up? And she was like, I'm so sad that today's your last day. I was like, fuck you mean it's my last day? Like, who the fuck told you that? She was like, the manager told us that it's your last day. So I went to the manager and I was like, why is today my last day? Like, what the fuck? He was like, yeah, Sarah, you're fired. So I was like, do we get to talk about why I'm fired or something? Or no, like I just go home and I never come back. And he was like, I can't talk to you right now, Sarah, I'm too busy. So I was like, okay, well, awesome, I guess I'm fucking fired for literally no reason. Later on I found out I was fired because, so basically I had a 25 top of alcoholics, and then I had 4 or 5 other tables, and the hosts weren't going by like seating rotation, they were only seating me. So I went up to them and I was like, hey guys, like I'm the only one getting seated right now, is it okay if y'all seat like other people, or like at least go by the fucking rotation, because this shit ain't no fair. And then they were like, okay. And then they told the manager apparently that I told them to seat me less. I mean, you're not supposed to refuse tables, yes, but I didn't refuse them. I told the host to go by the fucking rotation, because how the fuck do I have 7 tables and everybody around me has 1? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, he said that's why I'm fired. And he said that I went to the back. I went to the back because he didn't even give me a chance to explain it. But I went to the back because the host was crying in front of the host stand in front of everybody. So I pulled her over to the back and I was like girl, like breathe and shit. And I tried telling the manager whatever that I'll be in the back for a second, and then he ignored me. And then he was like, I don't want to talk to you right now, Sarah. I was like, okay then, like what the fuck am I supposed to do? Force you to listen? But yeah, fired. I emailed the owner, so we'll see how it goes. But anyways.
One day I'm gonna be really good at parking. Not today, but one day.
A month ago, my friend was by her husband. I wanted to make this video because there were signs all along that I thought were toxic, that I thought were crazy, but that I ultimately didn't think would result in her. It's important that we can see the signs, because the signs I thought I was looking for was physical violence, but in reality, I should have been looking for coercive control. Before I start, I'm asking that you don't connect the case to this video. I don't want the kids to find it. They've already been through enough. The first major red flag is that he ignored boundaries. She would ask for space. She would ask for him to leave her alone, and he refused. If she went for a jog, he would show up on the same jogging path next to her. There was never any breathing room for her. He was also very closed-minded. You couldn't argue with him. He was so set in his opinion. If I would try to bring up something politically that he disagreed with, it was, that's just propaganda, don't believe a word they say, blah, blah, blah. He didn't want to confront reality. He thought that he knew best. He was also very possessive and jealous. She was his wife. She was Mrs. Blank. He was always suspicious that she was cheating on him, always thought that she was going to leave him. And she did absolutely nothing to give him any indication that she would ever leave him or that she was cheating on him. In fact, she was incredibly loyal, and she was loyal up until the very end. Toward the end, he started to engage in stalkerish behavior. He would show up at a doctor's appointment that she was at and yell at her in the waiting room. And on one of her drives to see me, I'm a city over, she pulled off the road from being just so upset. And he showed up there. He showed up where she was pulled over to try to calm down. And he thought that she was conspiring in some mastermind plan to deceive him. He would isolate her against people that he viewed as threats, and this included me. He didn't like her necessarily hanging out with me because he thought since I was single, I wanted her all to myself, and I didn't respect their relationship, so I was trying to break them up, even though I wasn't. I would point out when she would tell me stories that his behavior was toxic, but I never tried to convince her to leave him up until the very end. One of our other friends was going through a divorce, and he got very antsy about her hanging out with that friend. Thought that by doing so, she would talk to her, and this friend would somehow convince her that divorce was the greatest thing on earth, and that she should also get a divorce. Additionally, if we would try to go out to like a bar or a restaurant. I remember one time she came to my city and we went out to a restaurant, and later that night she got a phone call, and it was him basically saying like, that type of behavior isn't becoming of a mother, it's not becoming of a wife to go out to a bar with men. And it was just those never-ending arguments where she would just listen and not say anything, and he would just berate her. He also engaged in a lot of emotional manipulation. There was a lot of, you don't care about me, you don't care about our family, you don't love me. And it escalated. It escalated to the point where when she wasn't falling for those tactics, he would threaten to kill himself. I once sent him screenshots about how threatening to kill yourself is a huge form of emotional manipulation. And his response was, if you were a true friend, you would call me on a non-recorded line and talk about it with me instead of engaging in gossip. She was so easygoing and just so, it is what it is, that I think I failed to understand the extent of it, even witnessing some of these behaviors. At one point, she was at her stepmom's bachelorette party, and it was just at their house, and she wasn't responding enough to their texts. So he left, and he showed up at the house. All the kids were at home, and he left. It was a block away, but still, he left and showed up and started yelling at her in front of her family because she just wasn't responding to texts because she was having fun with her family. She didn't want to talk negatively about him. When I'd ask how they were doing, she'd go, we're good. And then she'd just give this story and just kind of roll her eyes, shrug her shoulders like, he's crazy, right? And I'd be like, no, he's crazy. Like, I recognized that he was crazy. I recognized that he was toxic. She recognized it. She thought he was a narcissist. She thought he had anger management issues. But granted, he never hit her. He never hit the kids. He was a great father, an amazing father. And all of those things led her to believe that she wasn't in danger. But it's not physical violence that is the true sign that someone will commit. It's the control that they feel like they have to have. It's them feeling like they have nothing else in this world except for that one person, and if they can't have them, no one can. I saw the signs. I thought that the behavior was inexcusable. I signed her up with some divorce attorneys. I thought she should meet with one of them, see what her options were, but I don't think she had any good options. She didn't want to leave the house because she thought it would be viewed by the court as abandonment. She didn't want to leave the kids if she then was going to file a complaint against her husband, because what does that look like? Leaving your kids with a man that you are also claiming is violent. How was she supposed to leave? She needed him to leave. And he hadn't done anything that could get him removed from the house. And even if he was removed, even if he had a restraining order placed against him, it wouldn't have stopped him. I don't know what could have saved my friend. I don't know that I'll ever be able to live with what I didn't do. But I'm hoping that this video might spark some recognition in someone else's relationship or in your own relationship, and you're able to get out before it turns violent.
Okay, Utah people, I'm making this video because I've seen a bunch of videos recently about human trafficking, specifically in like Utah County. And I had an experience like a couple of months ago, but I didn't know what it was. Like, I just thought it was really weird. I thought it might have been like a human trafficking scheme, but I didn't know for sure because like I've never experienced anything like that and I've never heard of anything like that. And so I want to tell this story to see if anybody knows anything and to just bring awareness, because if I hadn't seen these videos I've seen previously, I wouldn't have, known. And I've seen videos in the past which helped me make more decisions based off my gut and, prioritize safety, because if it could be beneficial at all, then mission accomplished. Anyways, so my sister and I, we went to Cane's in Provo, Utah, and we just went through the drive-thru, got some dinner, and then parked in the parking lot and ate. And we're just eating in the parking lot, and it's a fairly small parking lot, and it was a little busy, and some lady came up to my window and was motioning for me to roll down my window. And normally I wouldn't roll down my window for strangers, but I figured, the parking lot's a little busy, maybe she just needs a place to park and she's gonna ask me to move. So I cracked my window and I'm like, hey, can I help you? And immediately she's like, I'm pregnant, I'm homeless, and I have 5 kids, and I need your help, we need food. Can you please come inside with me and get us food? I promise I'll pay you back. I'll give you my number. I'll pay you back. And I was like, because first of all, she didn't look pregnant and she didn't look homeless. That just didn't come to mind when I saw her. And I know everyone has different situations and maybe she's newly pregnant or something, but I just
I don't know. It was just a weird situation, and I immediately didn't trust her and just had a weird gut feeling. So I was like, oh no, I'm so sorry. I don't have any cash on me. I'm sorry. And she was like, no, please, 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 just come inside. We need food. I'm pregnant. I have kids. Please, I'm homeless. And she just kept saying that and like was talking so fast and like begging me. And she was like, please come inside with me. I promise I'll pay you back. I promise, I promise, I promise. And I was like, no, I'm so sorry. Best of luck. Have a good day. And rolled up my window. And then she stayed outside my window and was like, please, please. And like, my sister's like, why don't we just give her our food? And I was like, I don't think she wants our food. I don't think she wants food. I don't know. Me personally, if I was in that situation looking for help, I probably wouldn't go up to two college girls or like younger looking girls. I would probably try and find somebody who seemed more financially stable and more financially able to help in a situation like that. Probably not two young girls. And she left my window and we're like, weird. And then I look in my rear view mirror and she's standing behind my car. And she was standing behind my car for like 5 minutes. And I was like, why is she blocking us in? Like, what? And so I just had the doors locked and I'm like, okay, let's get out of here. So I wait a couple of minutes to see if she'll leave, and she just stands behind my car. And then finally I just decided to like back up a little bit and nudge her, not hit her, but like back up a little bit to see if she'll move. And she did. And she finally left, and then we left. And I just thought that was really weird. I've never experienced anything like that. And I don't know. I didn't know what it was. And maybe she did need help and I blew her off. And if so, forgive me. I'm sorry. But it just felt really weird and I didn't like it, and it just seemed like not a safe situation. And my first priority was making sure my sister was safe and making sure I was safe. And so if you know anything, I didn't know human trafficking was so common in Utah until recently. I've seen a couple of videos about it, and that's what got me thinking about it. And so if you know anything and this is some sort of scheme or happening, please let me know in the comments below, because I've been curious about it. And if it's not, just a reminder to always be careful and be aware and stick with your gut. It's always better safe than sorry. You know, if the situation was really what she said, I'm sorry for not helping you, you know, that's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, it's better safe than sorry. I don't know what could have happened. And so it's always good to just be aware and just prioritize your safety and be careful, you know. Yeah, I just wanted to share that story to see if anybody had any insight and just to bring awareness to staying safe. And yeah, so always trust your gut and be safe.